Yes, Warner Reprise Records. Yes, I'd like to order some new sponges for my 8-track tapes. The old ones are deteriorating. Yes, they're sponge-worthy. What do you mean, 8-track tape, you know, a square plastic thing? What do you mean you don't make those anymore? Well, you know, as a consumer, I have a hello. Whatever. You might recognize this 8-track from one of my previous videos, my 8-track collection. This is Beach Boys in Concert, generally regarded as their best live album, certainly amongst fans. In 1973, that album was released. My vinyl copy has seen better days, as you'll be able to see very soon there, but a really nice 2 LP set, again released 1973, and In Concert took several different concert tours throughout winter 1972 and spring 1973 and kind of put this album together as highlights from those various shows throughout those 2 tours. I believe at least 7 different concert performances were used to assemble this album. It's much like making a playlist, as we would do today on our phones or wherever. You know, put these together, get a little bit of everything. Got a really nice gatefold on it. Let's show you that again. One of the few double LPs, too, in the Beach Boys catalog that isn't a greatest hits package. So that's really neat. And In Concert was a big success. It went gold, made number 25, and was really more successful than a lot of their studio work at the time. But it can be sort of frustrating, as this is just mostly a sampler of different shows and different songs. Here's the CD release. Because this was during the twofer period, it still has the promo sticker, hey, 2 albums on 1 CD. Usually that meant 2 separate albums on 1 disc, but in this case, as it was a double LP set, I think we have to interpret it that way. So why am I talking about Beach Boys in Concert when I should be talking about kind of one of those unofficial gray area releases? As you recall, in the last video, we talked about Live in Japan, and we talked about Live at the Fillmore East. But we have to talk about In Concert to contextualize our gray area buddy for today. Live at Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York, 1974. This is released through Left Field Media. I will show you the beautiful liner notes we get, 1 page of text saying how the Beach Boys concerts were successful and they could make as much money as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, which is a very odd comparison to make. And yeah, again, liner notes or booklet is very generous. We'll say a leaflet to be more realistic here. Artwork on the CD. So again, this is another one of those weird gray area releases that had some bizarre claim to legitimacy, but who knows what, no doubt some minor legal loophole, something like that. So what makes this different? Well, instead of being in a kind of an amalgam of several different concerts, sort of picking and choosing, this is an organic concert. This is almost an entire show from beginning to end. So it's got kind of a different vibe than this album does. You know, this is just the whole thing straight through. There are several songs on this Nassau CD that are not on the In Concert album, notably California Saga, which had been a single at the time, Little Do Scoop, All This Is That, which was relatively new also, Feel Flows, which has come back into vogue. It was really cool going to Beach Boys shows in 2021 and actually seeing them do Feel Flows live, because this was probably one of the last times they ever did it that way. So it was really neat to hear it again. God Only Knows and I Get Around both make appearances for the oldies there too, and they are not on In Concert. Stuff that is on In Concert, but not on Live at Nassau Coliseum, those include You Still Believe in Me, Darlin', Caroline No, Leaving This Town, Let the Wind Blow, that's a rarity, Surfin' USA, which is a really bad take, Mike Love messes up the lyrics, I'm not sure why they use that, and Fun 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 as the big closer. So we have a few differences, but there's still plenty of classics and recognizable tunes mixed in there that both of these share. I will say Nassau Coliseum, the unofficial one here, is I think a more fun experience. The band is really into it. There's lots of fun moments of banter with the audience. There's some of the self-deprecating humor about their oldies being, oldies and moldies and whatnot, and how they're written on stone tablets back in California, that kind of thing. But there's just some fun. The band encourages the audience to sing along. They do like a clap-along intro to We Got Love, which is really fun. They're invited to sing on Surfer Girl. There are some funny comedy bits, such as Mike Love asking the audience, what was the B-side to I Get Around? Do you know the B-side to I Get Around? Mike Love didn't think the audience did. He said the winner, whoever guessed it first correctly, would get to eat pizza with Dennis Wilson in Dennis's camper, and the audience thought that was really funny. Of course, we all know the B-side is Don't Worry Baby. That's a great song. This is a beat-up from Thrift Store 45, so I just hang it on my wall. I took it down for this. That's why it doesn't have a sleeve. But there's definitely some fun there. I will say, all of these unofficial CDs, the audio quality, certainly not the best. Nothing to write home about. This one, which I bought on Amazon, I don't know if it's still on Amazon or not, and it came through Prime from their warehouse, so again, it could be sold legitimately, at least in some context. The reviews noted that the audio was pretty bad. It is listenable though, but noted that Feel Flows has a weird drop in the middle where it goes silent, excuse me. And it kind of does. It's not completely silent. You can still hear some instrumentation. It just sounds like the volume got turned down really low and turned up again. There are recordings of this concert online, which we'll get to in a moment, that have it with that drop is much less noticeable. It's still there, but it's not as obvious. So just keep that one in mind. If you ever listen to some of these gray area things, you're going to see all kinds of weird, things that don't make sense. Bits of stuff there. The other things I want to mention are the Sarcasm, which we saw in concert, is basically gone. There are several audience, intro bits in this album, such as Mike Love introducing California Girls, that talk about how, oh wow, we love your applause so much, we're so glad you like this song, and it's just so snarky. It kind of detracts from the overall performance, I would say. That there's none of that here. The audience is into it, the Beach Boys are into it. It's a really exciting show. A lot of build-up there. Something I talked about with the other albums in the last video was that they're edited. This doesn't feel edited quite as much. The intro is missing, and there are some parts near the end that are missing as well, and I'll get to those in a second. Because again, you can hear this online. Just type in on YouTube, live in Uniondale 1974, and you'll hear this. But the things that are missing are the very end. They invited Paul Simon and Elton John to come out and do a few songs with them, namely Barbara Ann, Surfin' USA, and Fun Fun Fun. Those are not present here. It ends with California Girls, and right at the end too. So it's interesting that they would snip those out. Why would they take out the big finale? Well, they probably couldn't get the legal rights, whatever had worked for this wasn't going to work for other artists too, apparently, so they just trimmed them off there. It is kind of distracting, and California Girls is a very odd choice for a concert closer, but nonetheless, that's the way they did it. So all told, Nassau Coliseum, something a little bit different, kind of fun, from a great time in the band's live performance history. Next time, we'll take a look at another era. We've already covered the 60s and the early 70s. Now we got the mid-70s today. We'll jump into the 80s and look at the two 4th of July albums. Till next time, my friends, go out there and catch a wave.